Next, the news. But first, here on Radio 4, here is the shipping forecast issued on behalf of the Met Office, on behalf of the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency, issued at 17:25 on Saturday, the 22nd of February. There are warnings of gales in all areas except German Bight, Dover, White and Trafalgar. The general synopsis at midday: Atlantic low moving rapidly northwesterly. North of Sierra, south of Sierra, Dogger Bank, Cromarty. Shannon, rain, pour. Gale now ceased, but southerly gale force 9 expected soon. Wind, south, 5 to 7, increasing to 7. Sea state, very rough. Weather, becoming high or very high later. Rain, then squally showers. Visibility, moderate or poor. I wonder if the people in the boats had any kind of weather warning. The shipping forecast has been around in one form or another for about 150 years, and its comforting structure, its measured and deliberate rhythm, its nearness, its intimacy, and its distance, almost otherworldly words, its anonymous authority, capture people. Many people listen to it that never go near the sea, that never need these warnings. And I wonder if a shipping forecast in our lives would be worthwhile. I wonder if sometimes we'd like to know what's going to happen next, to fight the unpredictability of our lives. So we come to our reading from Luke. Jesus calms the storm. And this story appears in Matthew chapter 8, verses 23-27, and Mark chapter 4, verses 35 to 41. And this version in Luke is a little bit shorter. And this story shows Jesus' authority over nature and chaos. It also shows that even those who know and knew Jesus well still struggled with their belief. Perhaps at its core, this story is about anxiety, overcoming fear, becoming calm, becoming a bit more confident. And I've got no idea why I've been asked to talk about those subjects. So if you're sitting comfortably and I'm standing uncomfortably, perhaps we'll begin. It was very easy at that time, and it is now, to get caught out in a storm on Lake Galilee. And the ferocity of the storm on Lake Galilee comes out of nowhere. There's no warning, there's no shipping forecast. And then, as now, they're unexpected, unpredictable. The coast seems to funnel the wind, and out of nowhere a gale threatens to envelop the disciples without warning. And these weathered, hardened fishermen and disciples panic. And they wake Jesus, who's not surprisingly gone to sleep. He's probably exhausted, but still a little bit surprising perhaps that he's been able to find somewhere to sleep and rest. But they wake him saying, "Master, Master, we're going to drown." There's an exclamation mark, so it must be very, very important. It must be serious. My Bible at home says, "We are perishing." I wonder what storms we face in our lives today and in the weeks to come. And it could be said that storms, squalls, or upheavals do two things. They perhaps develop our character, giving us experience and context in our lives. But I'm under no illusions that they also test our character. Perhaps there's a third option that we don't consider very much. They reveal our character. How often do we hear of someone in the public eye saying, "Oh, that was so out of character, That's not me. Perhaps sad to say, it is you, and your character is simply being revealed. So the disciples wake up Jesus, and Jesus was asleep, as we've heard. But this is not considered by the disciples in their frantic need for resolution and finality. They wake up Jesus. Jesus lays there in silent eloquence. This story is sealed with meaning. And we just know that something remarkable, something miraculous is about to happen. Now, the sea is often used in the Bible to represent chaos and disorder. And perhaps today it symbolises a bit of mystery, a bit of danger. This story tells us how Jesus, if we allow him to, stills the storms in our lives. And this story invites us to renew our trust in him through our trust in God and allowing our faith to grow. So Jesus rebukes the storm. And many people have said, well, these storms stop as fast as they start. Suddenly the wind drops and the rain stops and the sun comes out. And that's true up to a point. There's a suddenness about this, an unpredictability. And it's possible that rain suddenly stops and even that wind suddenly stops. But the kinetic energy of the sea would have carried on surely for several minutes. No, something miraculous is going on here. The disciples, however, feel at the mercy of the storm, not under the grace or authority of God. So we are called then to renew our trust in the sovereign Lord, to be ruled by love and not fear. As we've heard, these hardened, entrenched fishermen that would have done this daily, they knew something was incredible. It was happening in front of their eyes. And Jesus rebukes the storm, and then for good measure rebukes the disciples. Where is your faith? And Jesus addresses both unbelief and a wish not to believe at all. Perhaps he talks to us about our believing faith, our faith for miracles, and our day-to-day faith. It seems rather sad when we read this story that the disciples appear almost more afraid of Jesus than the storm. Jesus wants us to apply our faith in the world around us. So if we approach Jesus, sometimes we feel feeble and fraudulent, or confident and content. But whatever's going on in our lives, we are to allow Jesus to still the storms in our lives. We are, as Bunyan might have put it, not to be robbed by mistrust. And I know some people will be listening to this who are in difficult waters at the moment. They're shipping water. They feel capsized. And you may well be thinking that, Steve, you haven't addressed the elephant in the room. Sometimes, despite our prayers and despite our trust in him, sometimes the boat sinks. There's a saying that we may not all be in the same boat, but we are all indeed in the same storm. I think this story tells us that when we feel we're being capsized, hemmed in, when we're shipping water, we must pray persistently. We must persevere. I heard one description of faith as having a faith muscle. We exercise our faith muscle as we trust and believe in God. And we love and depend on him. And that's not a forecast. That's the reality of God's love for us. Amen.